The crystal glasses clinked as my sister Emma raised her fourth toast of the evening. To my incredible husband Blake, she gushed, who just closed another multi-million-dollar deal. I sat quietly at the far end of the table, nursing my single glass of wine. These monthly family dinners had become an exercise in humility or humiliation, depending on how you looked at it. The dining room of my sister's mansion could have fit my entire apartment 3 times over, a fact she never failed to mention. James, Blake's voice carried across the table, dripping with false concern. Still working at that tiny investment firm? What do you call it again? Mitchell Advisory? Before I could answer, Emma jumped in. Oh, Blake, don't embarrass him. Not everyone can be as successful as you. I gripped my fork tighter, thinking about the documents sitting on my desk at work. Documents that would wipe the smug smile right off Blake's face. But not yet. Timing was everything in this game. Actually, I said calmly, we're doing quite well. Blake laughed, adjusting his Rolex. Quite well? Is that why you're still driving that 10-year-old Honda? Come on, James. When I was your age, I was already making partner at Sterling Capital. My mother, ever eager to keep peace, tried to change the subject. The food is lovely, Emma. Did your new chef prepare this? But Blake wasn't finished. He never was. You know, James, I could probably find you something entry-level at Sterling. Better than wasting your time with whatever it is you're doing now. I thought about the irony of his offer. Blake Thompson, the self-proclaimed king of Wall Street, had no idea that his entire future was currently sitting in my office safe. I appreciate the offer, I replied, cutting into my steak, but I'm exactly where I need to be. Emma rolled her eyes. James, don't be proud. Blake's trying to help you. God knows you need it. Our father, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. Now, Emma, your brother works hard. At what? Blake interrupted. Pushing papers at some no-name firm? Please, he's barely making ends meet while Emma has everything she could ever want. I made sure of that. I watched my sister beam at her husband, completely oblivious to the condescension in his voice. She'd always been like that, so eager for approval that she'd accept any form of attention, even if it came at someone else's expense. Tell me, Blake, I said, setting down my fork. How's the global tech merger coming along? His hand froze halfway to his wine glass. How do you know about that? I shrugged. News travels fast in finance. Heard there might be some complications. Nothing I can't handle, he snapped, but I caught the flicker of concern in his eyes. Sterling Capital has everything under control. Emma, oblivious to the sudden tension, laughed. Of course you do, honey. You're the best at what you do. Unlike some people who never reach their potential. The dig was meant to hurt, but I just smiled. If only they knew that Mitchell Advisory, my supposedly tiny firm, had been systematically acquiring controlling interests in key companies for the past 5 years. We operated through a complex network of shell corporations and subsidiaries, our true size hidden from public view. Blake had recovered his composure. Actually, James, since you brought it up, the global tech merger will be my biggest deal yet. Once it's complete, we're looking at a $900 million valuation. But that's probably more money than you'll see in your lifetime. My mother shifted uncomfortably. Blake, perhaps we could discuss something else. No, he waved her off. James should hear this. Maybe it'll motivate him to finally do something with his life. You know, when I first met Emma, I couldn't believe she had a brother who was such a... What's the word I'm looking for? Disappointment, Emma supplied helpfully. That's it. Blake snapped his fingers. A disappointment. I mean, same parents, same opportunities, but look at the difference. Emma married well, lives in luxury, while you... He gestured at my simple suit. Well, you're still a nobody. The table fell silent. My father started to protest, but I held up my hand. You're right, Blake. The difference is remarkable. I stood up, placing my napkin beside my plate. Thank you for dinner, Emma. I should head out, early meeting tomorrow. Running away. Blake smirked. Can't handle the truth. I paused at the door. Actually, I have some papers to review. Something about a merger. His face tightened slightly, but he played it off with a laugh. Right. I'm sure your little advisory firm handles real mergers all the time. If he only knew that Mitchell Advisory was just the tip of the iceberg. Below the surface lay Mitchell Global Holdings, one of the largest private equity firms in the country. We specialized in strategic acquisitions and corporate restructuring, operating entirely in the shadows. Walking to my car, yes, the 10-year-old Honda that Blake loved to mock, I thought about the meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning, the one where Blake would discover exactly who held the power to approve or deny his precious merger. My phone buzzed. A message from my senior partner, everything in place for tomorrow. Thompson won't know what hit him. I typed back a quick response. Perfect. Time to show my brother-in-law what a nobody can do. Driving home, I reflected on how it had come to this. After graduating from Harvard Business School, something Blake didn't know about, I'd let them all believe I went to state college. I could have taken the conventional route. High-profile firm, flashy office, expensive car. But I saw an opportunity to build something different. Mitchell Advisory was my cover, a small, seemingly insignificant firm that no one would look twice at. Meanwhile, Mitchell Global Holdings worked behind the scenes, acquiring companies, restructuring corporations, and building an empire that would make Sterling Capital look like a corner store. Tomorrow, Blake Thompson would learn the hard way that appearances can be deceiving. His precious merger, the deal he'd been bragging about for months, hung by a thread that I controlled. I pulled into my apartment complex, nice but not flashy, exactly how I wanted it. My phone buzzed again. Emma, this time, you left so early. Blake was just trying to help. Why can't you accept that you're not as successful as him? I didn't respond. Tomorrow would be response enough. Inside my apartment, I opened my safe and pulled up the Global Tech merger documents. Blake's signature was there, along with various board members and stakeholders. But one signature was still needed. The CEO of Mitchell Global Holdings, the company that had quietly become Global Tech's majority shareholder. My signature. I poured myself a scotch and settled into my chair, reviewing the papers one last time. In less than 12 hours, Blake Thompson would discover that his biggest deal, his crowning achievement, rested entirely in the hands of the nobody he loved to mock. Sometimes success doesn't need to be flashy. Sometimes it's better to be underestimated, to work in the shadows while others preen in the spotlight. Blake had chosen to build his reputation on arrogance and public displays of wealth. I had chosen a different path. Tomorrow we'd see which path led to real power. The next morning, I arrived at Sterling Capital's headquarters an hour early. Not through the main entrance where Blake would expect to see me begging for a job, but through the executive elevator, using the access code my team had secured months ago. The top-floor conference room offered a stunning view of the city skyline. I stood at the window, watching the morning traffic crawl below, thinking about how many times Blake had bragged about this view at family dinners. "Everything is ready, Mr. Mitchell," my assistant Sarah whispered, entering silently. "The board members are gathering in the lobby. Mr. Thompson just arrived." I nodded, straightening my bespoke suit, one that cost more than Blake's but was deliberately understated. "And Emma just pulled up in her Mercedes. She's with him." Perfect. I had wondered if Blake would bring my sister to witness his triumph. His ego wouldn't let him miss the chance to show off. I took my seat at the head of the conference table, back turned to the door, listening as people filed in. I could hear Blake's confident voice in the hallway. "The Mitchell Global Holdings CEO is just playing hard to get. Trust me, once they see the numbers they'll sign. No one turns down Blake Thompson." Oh, the irony. The room fell silent as Blake entered. I could picture him strutting in, probably adjusting his gold cufflinks, a habit he had when he was feeling particularly powerful. "All right, where's this mysterious CEO who's been?" His voice trailed off as I swiveled my chair around. "James, what are you doing here?" "This is a private meeting. Security." I smiled, opening the folder in front of me. "No need for security, Blake. I'm exactly where I should be." Emma, who had followed him in, looked confused. "James, why are you sitting there?" "That's for the CEO of Mitchell Global." Her voice faded as realization dawned. "No," Blake said flatly. "No, this is impossible. You run Mitchell Advisory, that tiny firm in a strip mall." "Mitchell Advisory is a subsidiary," I explained calmly. "One of many. Mitchell Global Holdings, on the other hand." I gestured to the board members who were trying to hide their smirks. "Well, let's just say we're quite a bit bigger than Sterling Capital." Blake's face had gone from red to white. "You're lying." This is some kind of joke. Like the jokes you made about my car, or my career, or how about last night when you called me a nobody? I slid the merger documents across the table. Take a look, Blake. The only signature missing is mine. Emma grabbed the papers before Blake could reach them. Her hands trembled as she read. James, you're the CEO. But all these years, I was building something while your husband was busy bragging about his latest bonus. I turned to Blake. By the way, that merger you're so proud of, we orchestrated the whole thing. Every major stakeholder, every board member who supported the deal, they work for me. Blake collapsed into a chair. Why? He managed to croak. Because true power isn't about showing off. It's about knowing when to stay quiet and when to reveal your hand. I stood up, buttoning my jacket. Now about that merger. I've reviewed the terms and I'm afraid they don't work for us. Please, Blake's voice cracked. This deal, it's everything. Sterling Capital needs this. Like I needed your help getting an entry-level position, I asked softly. Tell me, Blake, how does it feel to be the nobody in the room? Emma stepped forward, tears in her eyes. James, please. If this deal falls through, Blake could lose everything. Everything? I laughed. You mean the mansion you love to show off? The cars? The vacations? All built on Blake's arrogance and other people's money? The board members shifted uncomfortably. They knew what was coming. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Sterling Capital will be absorbed into Mitchell Global Holdings. Blake, you're welcome to stay on, in an entry-level position, of course. After all, I'm just trying to help you, like you always tried to help me. Blake's face crumpled. The mighty king of Wall Street reduced to begging for a job from his brother-in-law. You can't do this, he whispered. Actually, I can. And I am. I turned to the board members. Meeting adjourned. Sarah will distribute the new organizational charts. Blake, clean out your office by the end of the day. As people filed out, Emma remained, staring at me like she was seeing me for the first time. All those dinners, she said quietly. All those times we made fun of you. You chose your side, Emma. You chose to believe that success only looks like what Blake showed you. Flashy cars and expensive watches. You never once asked what I was building. I'm your sister, she pleaded. And I'm still your brother. The same brother you called a disappointment last night. The only difference is, now you know what I'm really worth. My phone buzzed. Another major deal requiring my attention. Real power never rests. I have another meeting, I told them. Blake, security will supervise while you pack up. Emma, I'll see you at the next family dinner. I think it's my turn to host. As I walked out, I heard Emma burst into tears and Blake's heavy breathing as he faced his new reality. Part of me felt a twinge of sympathy, but I pushed it aside. They had chosen their path, the path of arrogance and shallow success. I had chosen mine. That evening, I drove my cheap Honda back to my modest apartment. My phone had been buzzing all day. Messages from my parents, other relatives, all suddenly realizing that the family disappointment was anything but. I poured myself a scotch and opened my laptop to review another potential acquisition. My mother had sent a dozen messages. Why didn't you tell us? We had no idea. Please talk to Emma, she's devastated. I left them unread. Success isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about knowing your worth, even when no one else does. A final message came through from Blake's personal email. I understand now. I deserve this. But please, give me a chance to prove myself. I smiled, thinking of all the chances I'd never gotten, all the times he lorded his success over me. Then I typed a simple response. Report to HR on Monday, 9 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. Nobodies can afford to miss their first day of work. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about showing them exactly who you've been all along, and watching their world reshape itself around that truth. Blake would learn what real success looks like. Emma would learn that true worth isn't measured in mansions and sports cars. And I would continue building my empire, one quiet deal at a time. After all, that's what nobodies do best.